so they don't come on the scene. They say, okay, call your insurance. So why that kind of a response from Peel Police?
Additional resources to Canadian Border Services that are exclusively oriented towards proactively trying to locate and recover stolen vehicles. Then the reality is we have limited resources for what's happening.
So our law agencies are working with other country police forces to bring those criminals under justice.
This for me is the one that troubles me. 2022, we were slightly over 5,000. What I will tell you is this year, we're almost parallel, if not parallel with that number already. And the reality of a municipality like Peel is our resources are finite. A crime where the criminal has left the scene will not be prioritized the same as if I was in my vehicle and robbed of my vehicle. The problem is the demographics here in Peel, the geography here at Peel, the transit routes, the ability to move cargo. A lot of people live here in Peel for a reason. It's convenient. But what scares me is the violence, the use of violence to take a car. Person breaks into your home and with violence is taking anything, or if you're being potentially going to be a victim, like a person is trying to rob you, that is an emergent 911 call. This year, we will recover more stolen vehicles. We will arrest more people and lay more charges. You need to know and understand that as a police organization, we've heard what your concerns are. Peel is not the place to come steal cars, commit robberies for vehicles. Stay in your jurisdiction, because if you come to Peel, we will hold you to account for those things.
कारजैकिंग एक नेशनल मुद्दा बन चुका है, नेशनल क्राइसिस। कारजैकिंग, वायलेंट कारजैकिंग, अजकल अगर देखिए कि चोरों की हिम्मत इन्नी उन्होंने हौसले बुलंद है कि घर के ब्रेक-इन्स करके भी अंदरों चाबियां कट के गड्डियां चोरी करनियां उन्होंने लिए कोई औखा काम नहीं रहा। असी ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ काफ़ी बार पब्लिक की कंप्लेंट आई है कि पुलिस की कर रही है, सिस्टम की कर रहा है। असी अज पील रीजनल पुलिस के हैड ऑफिस पहुंचे हैं। साडे नाल डिप्टी चीफ ऑफ पील रीजनल पुलिस निक मिलिनोविच मौजूद है। गलबात करांगे कार जैकिंग के उपर पुलिस का की रिस्पॉन्स है, क्योंकि यह भी लोगों की कंप्लेंट है कि पुलिस बहुत बार कहती है अपने इंश्योरेंस को कॉल कर दो, रिपोर्ट नंबर ऑनलाइन दे दिता जाता है। सो पुलिस का ये की कहना है, क्योंकि शिपमेंट्स भी फड़ियाँ गई हैं, ट्रेलर्स भी फड़े गए हैं, लेकिन जोड़े लोग है, कैनेडियंस है, ओंटेरियंस है, सैटिस्फाइड नहीं पुलिस के रिस्पॉन्स तो साडा पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम की कर रहा है। सो खुली गलबात करांगे डिप्टी चीफ के नाल। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग अस दिस योर वैल्यूएबल टाइम and the important issue, the national crisis, the carjacking, the violent carjacking, that issue we have to discuss today. For last so many years, we have seen that every 6 minutes a car is stolen, and we have seen now the thieves they entered the next step. They are entering the houses, they are break-ins midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning, and they are taking keys. So what police is doing on that? On this violent carjackings?
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate the opportunity, Nathan, and it's an important conversation to have. I think before, it's also important for us to categorize the two issues which are contributing to one. To start with, I like to call it organized auto theft. And to me, organized auto theft occurs in two separate ways. One is like we often see in the middle of the night, when a person comes and uses certain means in order to take a vehicle out of a driveway, and unfortunately residents wake up and their vehicle's gone. The other way that we see cars taken is through threat or use of violence, and those are carjackings. But both are really crimes that are occurring in our community in order to support organized auto theft. And you're right, it is absolutely an issue for our residents. It's not lost upon us. I have to say, not only is it an issue here in Peel, but it is an issue nationally. Yes. As you've heard, and many people have heard me say before, unfortunately, Canada is becoming, or is a source country for stolen autos for export. So you asked what we're doing. We really are, as your police service, we are doing everything we can to make sure that we invest appropriately in the enforcement. This year we've doubled our auto crime unit. We've also increased and enhanced our robbery unit. And these are all the specialized investigative portfolios that are assigned with finding the people that are coming to our region, often from other places, coming to our region and going shopping for cars and targeting our residents. We know our community wants us to hold them accountable. So from an enforcement perspective, we've increased our resources locally. We are also participating on a number of joint forces operations with other services across the GTA and provincially. Last year we held an auto summit. And from that auto summit, we came out with 3 recommendations that we really used to try to create some momentum towards making a change in the issue of auto theft. You may have heard that we're going to have our second auto theft again in March to further create some momentum. And the reality is, I believe enforcement is important where this issue is concerned. And we're going to continue to arrest and charge more people than we ever have while we continue to struggle with it. But I also believe that there is a lot of ownership that could, or stakeholders that could help us address the issue. And those people are not necessarily police organizations. Auto manufacturers have a role to play. The security at our ports have a role to play. So I recently, last week, went to Montreal and toured the port, which is where the majority of the vehicles that are stolen from our region are exported. And I want to tell you, Neetan, they had located 16 stolen cars. Of those 16 stolen cars, 8 were from Peel. So they recovered 8 stolen vehicles from Peel that day. And what I found surprising and what I think would also help is if, it were a priority for Canadian Border Services agencies to look proactively for stolen vehicles in our ports. They also require, the resources are finite. So additional resources to Canadian Border Services that are exclusively oriented towards proactively trying to locate and recover stolen vehicles will make it more difficult to export vehicles out of our country.
Mostly we have seen that our vehicles from the Canada, they are shipping overseas, different countries. Locally, when the criminal is found, he's being charged, then he's again out on bail again and again, same criminals again and again. So what about the outside? Because criminals are sitting there, big organized crime mafia is there. So our law agencies are working with other country police forces to bring those criminals under justice, or what's that?
Absolutely. When we have the opportunity to do that, yeah, definitely, we do that. Now, part of the difficulty is oftentimes by the time the vehicle is located and identified, the insurance company has already settled with the owner, and in actuality, it may cost more to repatriate the vehicle for the insurance company. So, there's definitely some difficulties there. And again, it depends on which country. Obviously, we have better relationships with certain countries, and it's easier to repatriate the vehicle and bring it back. So there's a lot of variables there. But what I can tell you is, and this is a surprising figure, we have, in Peel alone, recovered over $130 million worth of vehicles. So it not only gives you an idea of how committed we are towards addressing the issue, but the scope and size of the issue too. It is a real problem for us right now.
And can you share some more data, like in last couple of years, how many total vehicles got stolen and how many number of vehicles we got recovered?
Yeah, so I believe the last statistics I looked at was 2022, we were slightly over 5,000. What I will tell you is this year, we're almost parallel, if not parallel with that number already. Originally when the year started, we thought we were tracking to have lost just under 10,000 vehicles. Thankfully, I think because of some of the work and advocacy and awareness from the community, we're not going to get there. But yeah, currently I believe we're 5,300 in and around there. I can get you the exact number. Okay. But certainly we will be slightly more than we were last year. Shouldn't say slightly, approximately 20% more than we were last year.
So every 6 minutes, one car is stolen?
In Ontario.
In Ontario,
yeah.
Yes.
But again, nationally, we're losing billions of dollars of vehicles. Yeah. And this isn't just a Peel issue. The problem is the demographics here in Peel, the geography here at Peel, the transit routes, the ability to move cargo. A lot of people live here in Peel for a reason. It's convenient. Yes. And it's also unfortunately convenient for people to attend from other places to Peel and move vehicles out of Peel. So it's, again, we're doing everything we can in that space. And as I mentioned, $130 million worth of vehicles recovered so far this year. This year, we will recover more stolen vehicles. we will arrest more people and lay more charges. But while we're doing that, we're also going to advocate and push for change so that we can begin to address the problem, so that we will have to arrest fewer people and take fewer reports. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you'd mentioned carjacking.
Yep.
This for me is the one that troubles me. Property, of course, when people lose their vehicles or wake up in the morning and it's gone, it's an intrusion. I have friends who have been affected by it. Like, I've seen it happen. Like, that's not lost on me. But what scares me is the violence and use of violence to take a car. So, I'm happy to report that here in Peel, despite the trends that are happening in other jurisdictions, year to date, our carjackings are down by 7%. And I'll put it in perspective. The last time I asked for the statistics, in Peel, with 1.6 million people, with countless vehicles traveling through our region, whether it be to the airport or places of work, you can imagine how many cars there are. We've had 68. So that puts it in perspective, but I want to say 68 is 68 too many. It's a traumatizing criminal act, and the people that are engaged in it need to be held to account. So,
do you think that our justice system should be changed, should be more strict? Because we have seen those same criminals again and again, and the police officer's morale goes down if we catch the same carjacker, same thief again and again.
As a police organization, we will welcome every single tool available to us. If that includes, changes in legislation to make it more difficult for criminals or people that are involved in violent offenses to get released on bail, I absolutely support that. In fact, our police service, our police chief, myself, we've advocated at the provincial and federal levels for a number of things like that. More difficulty in having people released on bail is an important one. If a person uses a firearm and is out on charges for a violent offense, we really need to look at why those people are being released, because they've already demonstrated a propensity towards violence and the willingness to use violence to target our community. So absolutely, I would support that, and we have, and we continue to advocate for it.
Many times residents, they complain then when they call the Peel police, and their responses for the carjacking, their responses, what happened, they give a report number over the phone, so they don't come on the scene. They say, okay, call your insurance. So why that kind of a response from Peel police? Whereas the community, this is the people, this is the community suggestion, why don't they consider this carjacking calls as an emergency call, 911 call?
Yeah, no, definitely. So if a crime's in progress, absolutely. It'll be prioritized appropriately and police responses will attend there. Oftentimes, what we find is the crime is being reported after it's occurred, the person or the criminal is no longer on scene. And the reality of a municipality like Peel is our resources are finite, and at times it can be a very, very busy region. Of course, there's prioritization. There's more emergent calls where we need to get officers there as soon as possible, and then there's others that, by virtue of the circumstances, are not as urgent as something that may be happening elsewhere.
But violent carjackings is an emergency.
Absolutely. That is a 911. Carjacking, 911.
Okay.
A crime where the criminal has left the scene will not be prioritized the same as if I was in my vehicle and robbed of my vehicle.
Okay. So if some carjacking happened during the nighttime, break and enter, thieves come, they take the car away.
911.
Then it's 911?
Yes.
Because that was the complaint from the police says it's not an emergency now, car is already gone, call your insurance. We will come when it is appropriate.
Absolutely. So person breaks into your home and with violence is taking anything, or if you're being potentially going to be a victim, like a person is trying to rob you, that is an emergent 911 call.
Another question, when the call comes to the police and they say we have limited resources. Many times we have heard the police officer say we have limited resources. What does that mean, that we have less police officers? Whereas the politicians, they say we gave all the resources to the police forces. So what is the truth behind this?
Yeah, what it means is, it's interesting because we just finished having a lot of these conversations, and the reality is we have limited resources for what's happening. We at times have done an analysis of other large municipalities over 1 million and said, okay, well, what's the ratio of police officers to community and population? And what we consistently find is here in Peel, we are not staffed at the same levels as larger municipalities and large police services like ourselves. So our resources are finite. And we do have some genuine pressures, like, for example, what we're talking about here today, auto theft that affect us differently than other municipalities. So our resources are finite. Thankfully, here in Peel, we are well supported by our police services board and a lot of our leadership here, and we are looking to grow in a way that's commensurate to the growth of the community, and I believe that will help.
Deputy, cars are going overseas to other countries. All the used shipments are going there. So there was one suggestion also, which last year in the auto theft meeting we were there, that was put forward, that why can't our government stop the sending old shipments vehicles out of the country, ban it for 6 months, so that cars will remain within Canada and easy for our forces to track those vehicles. That was the recommendation came forward. We also put that forward to the previous association chief.
Yeah, the difficulty with that is more often than not, when a vehicle is exported out of country, it's exported under a they've fraudulently identified what's being exported. So, for example, I may say I'm going to export, oranges to this country, and unfortunately, in that container is not oranges; it's stolen autos.
Yes.
I'm telling you, Neaton, a really, really easy thing that could be done immediately, and certainly please feel free to advocate for it, is if we were able to have a priority for CBSA, Canadian Border Services, be the export of stolen autos, and also support them in that by getting them resources. It's as simple as just having people open up containers that are destined for source countries of stolen vehicles. And we will recover hundreds and hundreds of vehicles. And I think that's an easily accomplished thing.
Deputy, last 4 or 5 years, we have seen this trend of carjackings, car theft, violent, and now the next step, the break-ins. So being Deputy Chief of Peel Police, what message you want to give to the residents? Because there are many questions I cannot take in this short time. What message you going to give to Peel region residents or Ontarians? Because that is very important for violent, because many people, they lost their life and they are scared. While sleeping during the night, they are scared. What to do? Will we be the next? Because they took all those precautions which police time to time they gave them. Keep your keys safe, keep that in the tents, don't have your keys next to the door. So what is your message to the public?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide that. So what I would say to the public and the community is, first, you need to know and understand that as a police organization, we've heard what your concerns are. We are absolutely in line and in keeping with you in understanding that we need to do more together to address auto theft, but also the carjackings. And the good news there is you have one of the very best police services in this country that's not only working on that issue here locally, but we're leading the conversations. We're stepping outside of our borders and our jurisdiction here to help address the issue. And we're doing that not only so that we can help our community feel safer in our community, but we also want to help other communities feel the same way. So we're going to continue to lead the work on auto theft and carjackings in Canada. And we're going to do that until either the issue is resolved or until people realize that Peel is not the place to come and steal cars. Peel is not the place to come steal cars, commit robberies for vehicles. Stay in your jurisdiction, because if you come to Peel, we will hold you to account for those things.